Hey! Woohoo! As they say. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Um, Slight disappointment for those of you in the audience this week because the wonderful screens we have here that show you the desktop I am talking about is not available. It is available, however, if you're watching us on YouTube. So we've got a fiddly roundabout way of doing things. So if you're in the audience here, you might as well vacate now and go to YouTube. Oh gosh, everybody's gone. Oh, well,
Hmm.
they took the hint, didn't they? Right, okay, well, let's get on with the show anyway. I'm screen sharing via Discord this week instead of our normal method. But from what I can see on my monitor at YouTube, which I'm watching for once actually, it looks fine, except I'm looking in world and that can't go wrong, can it? Never mind. Okay, so let me get started because I've got to deal with the obligatories whether it's working the same way or not.
Hmm.
My name is Mal Burns. That's Mal, first word, Burns, second word. But as is the way with the webs, the interwebs, everything is squashed. So if you want to find my Twitter feed, you have to go to Twitter feed. Sorry, you don't go to Twitter feed. You just go to twitter.com/MALBURNS. And that will give you all my links of the week. And there's loads and loads of them. But I'm going to be discussing my highlights from of the week, so to speak, um, this week. And this week is the ending. Sorry, this is the week ending the 22nd of August 2021. And this is actually the day when we're recording this too. So that's sort of taken care of, isn't it?
Hmm.
A bit of an odd week this is going to be, but as well as the fact that I'm sharing the screen in a slightly different way. I can't wait to see what it looks like in a minute, actually. Anyhow, joining me in the studio, of course, is James Out Loud, who is wearing a moderately Out Loud t-shirt today. Welcome, James.
Oh, thank you, Mal. Yeah, it is moderately at loud. It's me and free T-shirts. So this one is by one of a designer I've gone to before. This would be Neo Zero's store at Sansar, and it was just a nice free shirt. It says here X4 minus V4 Lilac Tessa. So I presume that's for some event, perhaps.
Haven't got a clue.
Yeah, there's a nice little swoosh on the back. Gaming clothes. The game
It's
is in the
very
clothes. So that's kind of fun.
Yes, okay, and it's yeah, quite a big zoom in of the face as well.
Yep.
I reckon it's an avatar face or something, so it's
Yeah, yeah,
nice and
definitely. Yep.
an avatar, maybe a singer or something.
Yeah.
Oh, I
But
might be spinning around to the back. Oh,
well, I was going to
but
say
just
with our
from a
technical
distance,
difficulties, I didn't look into the history of the shirt, so I
yeah,
apologize.
from
Yeah.
a distance, I thought the rear bit there, which I'm seeing delayed, by the way, of course.
Hmm.
I thought that was a barcode from a distance, but when you zoomed in, I realised the error of my ways.
Yeah. No
Right. Okay.
problem.
Well, sorry.
No problem.
For those of you at home, I should add that James is also here to handle all our technical stuff while I'm live. You see, I do most of the talking. We all know that, don't we?
Mm.
Motor mouth me. But James chats as well, but he's also twiddling knobs, sort of moving between my desktop while I'm talking about links and my avatar face and various things and various angles and all that sort of goodly stuff. Our normal system for desktop sharing has gone very awry today, so we're using a different system, which means it's probably going to be okay. So we will see how it goes. The only thing is, it's I can only share one window on my desktop rather than uh, go move between a browser and photographs and stuff like that. So, strictly speaking, it's just a list of links that I'm going to go down to this week. And yeah, have I forgot anything? I've given them the date, I've given them my name, I've given them your name, and I've
The second
announced.
channel on Twitter, maybe.
Huh?
Metaworld News
Yes,
Twitter.
indeed,
Yep.
yes. In fact, that is a good point. We have another channel on Twitter, which is twitter.com/MetaWorldNews. Two words in one, just like this show. And if James switches now to my desktop screen, I don't know quite. I will see it a bit behind actually, but it's still worth it if hopefully he can.
Yep.
I've got this is the only post I've actually got from Metaworld News Stream this week, and it's from a site called journal.burningman.org. So
Hmm.
that's JOURNAL.BURNINGMAN.org. And there it is coming up now. Oh, I see what we've done. Right. And yes. Basically, this is the Burning Man, virtually, so to speak. And obviously, this year it includes a load of people who would normally be at the real Burning Man event, as well as the virtual ones, for obvious reasons. Um, I don't. Yeah, didn't notice anything happening on the player this year at all. I'm not quite sure, but basically, this is a good site to check out, because it's the Burning Man project itself, and they talk about the temple and the burn and stuff like that. But they also cover the various virtual locations where official stuff, at least, is going to be happening, including Burn 2 that happens in Second Life, which is probably the one we're most familiar with. But as you can see for the list, there are a load of different places there where Burning Man is happening, either on the web in the form of a virtual world on the web, or indeed through dedicated clients like the Second Life one. So you'll find that on twitter.com/MetaWorldNews if you need the direct link again. But otherwise, it's simply at, what did I say, journal.burningman.org. And with that, we'll go straight back to the Melbourne's feed. Yes.
Hmm.
And this is strictly the stuff we usually do. Starting, of course, with where the place we always start, which is the XR Wheat Pea from the Scarred Ghost. You'll find that at SKARREDGHOST.com as ever. And it's a roundup of what was not this last week for us, but the week before, because this is the first link of the week that he published on Monday. Still starting off with the fact his blog is 5 years old and he can't believe it. Blah blah blah. So happy birthday, as of
Hmm. Hmm.
a week ago. We did announce that last week actually, but I think it was actually the Sunday was the real birthday. Um, Various incidental stuff like Facebook releasing pass-through APIs and stuff like that. And Facebook again on the right path for headsets and newsworthy mention, DigiLens, a whole load of stuff. I'm not going to cover that really because there's a whole load there that most of which we would have covered here last week. Unfortunately for Scar Ghost, he released this Monday or Tuesday, and of course the real news hit the fan. I think it was Tuesday. Road to VR got there first, and then everybody's been talking about it ever since. And I'll leave you guessing as to what that might be, but you're only really be guessing for a few seconds. Anyway, so that roundup is at scarredghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com. And yes, well, um, there's a lot of laughter in the back of my mind this week because
Hmm.
what actually happened is that well, we'll start with this one, August the 15th. This is prior to the news, but uh, it's not inappropriate really. Um, Basically, Facebook during the week they launched a Horizon workplace or something they called it. We'll get to it in very due course anyway. Um, but they have for a while been saying they're going to evolve into a metaverse company, and um, uh, VentureBeat here did have a take on that, saying that the metaverse will not look the way Facebook imagines it. And that was before we got even more of Facebook's imagination thrown at us the next day. So this little article is at venturebeat.com, VentureBeat.com. Um, all of this is commentary. There are only a few links today which are actually, interesting aside newses because, quite frankly, the Facebook news has been swamping all the feeds. And if I could show you a live video of my feed reader, it's just one entry after,
Mm.
Facebook something, Facebook, 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 and then after about 99 of them, there's another item, and then
Wow.
another 99 of Facebook. A lot of people, of course, regurging press releases. So the links I've chosen to highlight today here are actually the ones which I'm not joking, because I tend to like to be even-handed when I can, but really it has not gone down well. Yeah, you've only got to listen to some of the headlines to realise that the mainstream media doesn't quite see what Zuckerberg's doing. In some cases, I think they're just out of touch and haven't got their head around it. But others know full well what he's trying to do and don't think he'll succeed and certainly don't approve. So this at least started the week. It was a guest editorial saying that the metaverse, when it comes, whatever it is, etc., will not look the way Facebook imagines it. And it goes beyond looks, actually, but there you go. So that's at venturebeat.com. I'm going to remove these items as I go so that I don't get lost here. Right. Okay. Also from earlier in the week, this is the Brighter Side News. TheBrighterside dot news. NEWS. No co or anything there. News is the suffix. And yeah, they're talking. The credit here goes to King's College in London here. Using virtual reality technology to turn MRI scanning into a new experience. Basically, they're taking the hardware side of virtual reality um, um, interfacing to improve MRI systems. And once again, I can never remember what these bloody medical terms mean. Um, yeah, MRI is. I've had one done at one point. They stick you in a scanner thing, don't they? But I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know. Anyway,
magnetic resonance imaging.
that's it.
Yep,
Yes.
yep.
So no wonder I forgot it.
Rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Yes, exactly. Okay, in normal circumstances, the MRI scans fail in up to 50% of children under 5 years of age. But from a neuroscience point of view, it also means MRI-based studies of brain function are generally only ever studied in these vulnerable populations during an artificial induced sleep rate, so they may not be representative of how the brain works in normal circumstances, etc. Well, anyway, it goes on how they can use virtuality to get better results, basically using a novel interactive VR system which is used by patients when they're undertaking the MRI. So you'll find this, as I said, all one word here is the brighter side dot news is the address you want for that one. Right. Now, this is, oh, why am I getting, that
Wow.
opened a minute ago. This opened for me fine a minute ago.
All right.
Um, let's just refresh it. Okay, well, sorry about that, folks. It seems like I've got. Well, it wasn't a fake link when we started, but it obviously is now. So for that sound, it's actually a site called. Yeah, I don't know what's happening there. Things like this do sometimes go wrong. Anyway, if it's something else, right into the metaverse, a primer on the future. I think this one's going to land. Yeah, here we go. Right. This is not a site called Google Calendar. Go away. Right. This is a site called medianama.com. MEDIANAMA. So media and then nama.com. Medianama is all one word, of course. Because everything on the interwebs is squashed. Yes. It's the veritable squashed verse. Yes, there's another good one. Yeah, never mind. Bit long that now. It doesn't quite roll off the tongue, the squash verse, but never mind. Okay, Metaverse has been the stuff of science fiction, but leaders of big tech corporations say not anymore. Right, there are more discussion about Matthew Ball's writings, influential pieces, and also Zuckerberg's announcements and everything else like that. This is very much a roundup post, but it's always good to have these things on standby, and also, it's on the ball, shall I say. It's very easy to come across some of these things like what's the metaverse, is it ready yet, and etc. etc. And more often than not, they've all got different opinions. This is a fairly sort of neutral sort of thing from a week ago. I bet all the people who posted this stuff a week ago are thinking, oh, I should have held off for a couple of days, then I could have added a whole lot more opinion into it. But never mind. So as I say, medianama.com for that one. Right, 18th of August, coming a bit forward. There's another one today, in fact, I think it was. This is the immersive wire. Now, you'd have to really follow my link for this. It's the address is mailchi.mp, mailchi.mp, and what happens is this is a roundup mail that comes by email, and you've got a button you can press, say, read on the web, and this is what happens when you read it on the web. But it's gone to a website that I very much doubt you can actually get to without having the specific link. But anyway, it loads into my Twitter stream, so that's fine. Basically, it's all news, a jobs board, industry stuff, um, whatever. Actually, most of it seems to be jobs board on this particular one, though there was one later in the week which had other stuff in it. So it's called the Immersive Wire. Anyway, you can might be able to Google it. There's probably a separate address where you can go to it direct. Um, but it's on the feed anyway if you want to read it. Right now, okay. Now this is not, despite first appearances, this is not Facebook. This is actually a VR developer called 4VR Games, FORE VR Games, and they announced again, according to Ben Lang on Tuesday, I think the 18th. It's raised an additional $7 million US in seed capital. It's focused on bringing classic real-world games like bowling, etc., into VR with an emphasis on social play. So, bit social world, but also very much game. So, it's like World of Warcraft or something. You get a little bit of overlap, but the focus is on games, social VR games. Anyway, they did raise that money during the week, so good on them. You'll find that release or post at roadtovr.com, which is ROADTOVR.com. And quickly moving on, you say, I can't wait to get to the God Emperor. Right, okay, I think we're about on time. Yeah, it was actually Road to VR, if I recall, that actually was the post I read first announcing Facebook's news of this week. Anyway, here we go now. Inside Facebook's Metaverse for Work. So basically, Facebook turned up, I think August 19th, I think was the day it happened. Or maybe it was 18th. They're bringing the office into VR with Horizon Workrooms inside Metaverse for Work. Alex Heath here was at a press briefing, and Zuckerberg showed up to talk about his idea of the metaverse. It should be pointed out, and this is the first thing I laughed at because we know all too well, Zuckerberg's voice did not work. The other
Oh,
people did,
interesting. Okay.
but he logged in and his voice wasn't working. So that was the first thing they had to kind of sort out. Also, of course, it's a legless metaverse. Of course. Well, come on, they're all just too drunk or high to get a proper metaverse going, aren't they? So they're legless, are they not? Uh, but at least their hands worked and their heads bobbed, even if they didn't speak, or he didn't speak, should I say? But sort of. I presume the God Emperor just does not wish to dignify himself by being heard on voice. This is the excuse, no doubt. So leave it to the minions to break it all to people. Right. So he was sitting at a long U-shaped conference table with a handful of other reporters, our floating torsos bobbing over our chairs as the Facebook CEO beamed in. A giant floating display nearby showed other Facebook employees dialed in from the non-VR world to watch us through their computer screen. It was there that Zuckerberg had first appeared through his webcam before donning a headset and teleporting into a chair at the table as his own legless avatar. Yeah, anyway, so that was a little bit of a report on the opening celebrations, or the announcement, so to speak. Um, as it transpires, I mean, there is actually, if you can get in there, it's supposed to be available on the web too, but I couldn't get anything to work. Um, yeah, it is really like you've only got about a choice of about 6 or 8 destinations at the moment. You know, they're empty rooms that you can use for having a meeting, but it's not. As far as I know, you can't build your own or anything like that yet. Um, but do you really want to anyway? Read this one at theverge.com, theverge.com. And yeah, this is all stuff that was released on the day it was all announced. So moving on, um, that was reasonably polite headline, of course. Um, okay, well we'll get to some of the other ones a bit later. Okay, this is a different post entirely. This is news.climate.columbia.edu. So I'm going to have to read that, aren't I? NEWS dot CLIMATE dot COLUMBIA dot EDU. And yeah, they reference, of course, the dire warning about sort of collapse of the planet on the brink, as we are. Um, and Stanford's Virtual Human um, Interaction Lab, and look at the ways virtual reality can change human behavior and how it works. How does it work? What kinds of VR experiences can most effectively reach the largest number of people and have the most impact? Where can these VR experiences be delivered best to people? Is VR just a communication tool, or can it be something more? So this lady here, you see in the picture, her name is Vanessa Keith. She's a registered architect and a principal of Studio Teca, an award-winning design firm based in Brooklyn that she's founded herself in 2003. So she's been at it for quite a while. And yeah, she looks at issues, or rather, she's interviewed by somebody called Kirsten French, and what drew you to work in virtuality, etc. Quite a long, interesting, uh, very good interview, and of course, right on target as far as the subject matter is concerned. Over and beyond VR, that is, of course. So, can virtuality save the planet at news.climate.columbia.edu? Right, the next one's sort of interesting. There are a lot more feeds on Facebook and stuff this week, but I've skipped the highlights. I've got enough of them here anyway. This is a post by our friend Dr. Fran, um, which is she posted this alongside a tweet saying, which had a picture. I think she'd been to a concert with Carlos Santana or something, because she was saying, "Oh, back in my hippie days, this is the first person I saw." But here's a bit of an odd one. She says she only writes now when she has a moment of clarity, and this gets more rare as I age. She personally could not believe what I'm talking about here. The coverage of Facebook workrooms. She tried it out as soon as it released. I was thrilled that it solved the problem of not being able to type in a headset. What I didn't like was the cartoonish concession to the need for low fidelity graphics in order to accommodate the Quest 2. I'm not writing a review of workrooms. I want to think about what this means for dreams of a metaverse, in inverted commas, and the adoption of VR. For years, I've evangelized about VR and virtual worlds and blah, blah, blah. I've wondered why people just don't get how massive and world changing this is. Yesterday, it finally dawned on me. It's not them, it's me. I'm very content alone and consider my virtual friends as my friends. However, I've come to see that most people are not like this. Therefore, for the masses, a virtual solution will always be a compromise. I prospered during the lockdown whilst most suffered. So will VR take off? Yes, but not for many years. What is necessary will be an interface so seamless that you can still hug the people in your proximity while you interact in the virtual world. How long will this take? I don't have any idea, but it requires something like a brain computer interface, BCI. For the present, enjoy the fun of playing around in VR, but wait for the real breakthrough. So, not exactly a resignation letter, but you know, it's a sort of sun dawning. And I must admit, I was laughing my way through a lot of this week simply because I was thinking that not only have Facebook taken over all the news feeds, but the reaction to it is probably the last thing Zuckerberg wanted.
Hmm.
And I'm not counting the people who just reprinted the press releases and yet another blog. But the whole thing has got veterans like Dr. Fran here, just thinking, just posting a little comment that's longer than a tweet for a change. Okay, so you'll find that Musings on the Metaverse is really the name of her blog there. So if you want to find it, you've got to go to Dr. Fran, DRFRAN dot substack.com. So DRFRAN dot SUBSTACK .com. A lot of people are using Substack for Right Regular now, including Philip Rosedale, who is a friend of Dr. Fran as well. Right, moving on. This week in exile. Well, of course, we're getting already near the end of the week, believe it or not. And what's happening here? Right, this is of course. I think it's Thursday this week. It's a bit early. Basically, this is the text piece from Charlie Fink at Forbes, forbes.com, and it's a roundup. Facebook launched workrooms yesterday. That's probably the reason he published earlier, I think. A private mixed reality spatial meeting room for both video conference and participants for those in the file. Charlie has not been particularly critical of this. He does seem to be somebody who sort of embraces anybody and anything doing anything new that is going to possibly sort of take off. And well, is bringing the news anyway. So that was to him the top news of the week, and I think we'd all agree that that was the main news of the week. But the other thing, of course, that it managed to cover up very carefully. We'll come to this a bit in a minute. Is that the Federal Trade Commission in the States have refiled their suit against Facebook for anti-competitive behaviour. This on top of a number of actions being taken against them in both Germany and here in the UK. It's all very well having this big metaversey thing with horizon level workrooms and stuff like that, but under the surface here, both in the UK and in the States, they want Instagram and WhatsApp to be removed, sold off, so they're no longer part of Facebook. They don't want Facebook buying up and taking over anything, basically. It's slightly different with, arguably, it's slightly different with Horizon Workrooms. But then again, if it comes to ideas and stuff, they've done what they usually do, and that's steal somebody else's and just do it their way. As some people have pointed out, Facebook either steal things. One editorial comment, I think it was the Washington Post, oddly enough, saying, unable to run a business, Facebook's unable to run a business, Facebook's part of the course is to either steal ideas or buy up any competition, and it really puts paid to the thought that Zuckerberg has actually got anything to do with the vision thing, This is all stuff that's come before that he's kind of regurgitating. It is not. He is not a member of the visionary crowd. God, even Elon Musk does better than that. So come on. Right. Anyway, this is Charlie's roundup, as I said, at Forbes.com. Quite a lot of stuff here. I've never heard of Gilded, by the way, but Roblox apparently have bought it up, and it's described here as a Discord competitor. Um, but it's inevitable, isn't it, that somebody would have copied Discord. Thankfully, Discord have resisted all attempts by Microsoft and others to buy them out. They are proud of their independence and don't want anybody corrupting it. And it does actually occur to me, I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole here, but I will mention it because I've been thinking about it, um, that, whatever the metaverse is or becomes, it's going to be about portals and, be access everywhere and anywhere, any platform, any device, anyhow, It's going to be a whole linked set of components that at the ultimate at the moment we'll just imagine as 3D space, whether it's viewed on a screen or in a headset. Um, but to me, when I think about it, I think Discord, and in combination with Ready Player Me's, portal to web worlds, is probably the template for a metaverse as it is. I mean, if you could jump in, if you could go to a Discord server through Discord and then jump in to the space you want to be in through Discord, or attached to Discord, you'd have a like places index, a bit like Ready Player Me are doing, um, which is not platform specific. They Ready Player Me, you register, you get an avatar, and all they're doing is providing a big airport showing you all the places you can fly to where you can actually use that avatar. you know. So it's the simple things like that that really seem to be, to me, to be probably the future we should be thinking about and the ways of putting them together rather than, thinking of Epic Games or Facebook or Nvidia and everybody else who's apparently going to own the metaverse at the moment. Whatever the metaverse turns out to be, which we don't know anyway, do we, folks? Right, okay, so find out at forbes.com for Charlie Fink's roundup there. Moving down, well, here's a good one. New York Mag, right? nymag.com. How's this for a headline? Tick, tick, tick. Yeah. This is New York Mag. The metaverse looks like hell. Yeah. I should note that actually some of the tweets that led to these feeds had even more um, notable things like that had a headline, and then when you got to it, it reads like this. But when you followed it from Twitter, it's sort of. I've seen Facebook's feature, and it's terrifying. Great stuff. Right. Do you love Zoom? You also missed the sweet feeling of sitting in an antiseptic conference room. Whoa, Zuckerberg has good news for you. The Facebook founder announced on Thursday that the company is launching something called the Horizon Workrooms app, which can be accessed with Oculus Quest 2 headset. Strap in, and a magical transformation occurs. You become a cartoon, bobbling away in a cartoon office. Zuckerberg apparently considers this a step towards building the metaverse, reports CNBC. What will the metaverse might look like? Well, turn with me now to the book of Revelation, chapter 6, verse 1. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals and heard, as if it were a noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, "Come and see." Bit of religion thrown in there, but never mind. According to Wired, Workrooms represent Facebook's first public attempt to enable what Zuckerberg has called the infinite office. The idea of an infinite office is bad enough. Worse, however, is an infinite office populated by entities that look as though they're about to tell you that vaccines make you magnetic. The cartoon avatars bear an unfortunate resemblance to Bitmoji avatars, which are most often used by the most annoying people on the internet. Oh dear. I think it might be one of the most intense VR applications that exists in terms of how much we're trying to put every bell and whistle from the headset into the experience you're using, said somebody from Facebook. Blah blah blah. Anyway, this is as I say, nymag.com, and it's in a subsection actually called intelligence. Um, uh, it's sorry, intelligencer. Um, anyway, right. So nymag.com for that one. All right, moving on. Okay, 2021 Burning Man again. Oh, okay. So this is actually the same post we had earlier. It's one that I posted in Metaworld News and in my own feed. So you don't need two copies of that, do you? Well, I don't. Okay, Metapunk Co. UK got their ending on the conversation. Can we move beyond trying to define the metaverse now? Please, please. 2 days in and people are really, really getting irate. How much more can this go on? But I have to say, reading the Twitter feeds, I mean, it's as bad as the news itself. All the people who talk. On Twitter, including Theo personally here and E Predator and uh, uh, Roblin VR and everybody. They're all Susan Writer particularly. They're all just filling up the Twitter feed back and forth, with the longest paragraphs they can get into a Twitter post, followed by another paragraph. There's a whole bloody essay from Susan Writer, I think it was, which is just a tweet after tweet, no space to get any other tweets in between, and you actually sort of rolled down the Twitter feed. It was like reading a whole blog. Why should have posted a blog instead, if you ask me. But never mind. Some people use their oddest mediums for the oddest of messages. Can we move beyond, etc., etc.? Anyway, definition from Wikipedia, a bit of a mouthful. Talk about Neil Stevenson. Um, uh, in the metaverse, everyone can hear you scream. Yeah, the fees they can anyway. Um, Metaverse is not an equation. It cannot be described in only one set of terms. How I explain the metaverse depends on the context of the conversation because the idea of the metaverse is fluid. It creates a common frame of reference for many, then job done. I'm reminded of trying to explain artificial intelligence to a crowd of 2,000 people of different ages, backgrounds, and careers. If I went with a strict academic definition, I'd have been met by some pretty blank faces. The metaverse is no different, and so on and so forth. So there's some interesting kind of thoughts there. Again, not a hugely long post, but everybody had to post something this week. Except me, I saved it out for today, didn't I? Right, moving on. Come on. Right. Right. Okay, another one. Trying Facebook's VR Horizon workrooms felt like the future no one will embrace. I told you they're like this. This is reviewgeek.com, not the biggest headline site, but nevertheless fairly pertinent. They've got a lot of readers, I think. So REVIEWGEEK.com. And yes, the future no one will embrace. 5 minute read this one, etc. They're obviously doing their best to well. Well, uh, Facebook announced Horizon Workrooms. He immediately had to try it. I'm bullish on VR and believe it's here to stay and will only get better. But if we're honest, VR's primary use case right now is gaming, not productivity. Facebook is trying to change that. Um, Video calls lack the presence of in-person meetings. Facebook's new virtual reality almost fixes that problem, but almost no one will use it, he says. Um, right, use a headset. Those seem like cool. A major point here being that although you don't need a headset to use it, it's uh, well, they seem to have publicised it during the course of the week as a big thing for your Oculus Quest 2 or whatever it is, um, and yeah, they only mentioned in passing that you can actually get into a limited version on your desktop. Um, but crucially, I think it will be if it's going to take off at all. Well, en masse. At the moment, it's going to have to be a version on the desktop that would do it, I think. Anyway, they say it actually works surprisingly well, but once you get through the initial flash, there's not much to it. And this reminded, look at these pictures, etc. It reminded me most of Sciencespace's break rooms, where you can join in a video on a screen and you can res, web pages on a whiteboard kind of thing, and then you've got a room. That snapshot could just as easily be in Sciencebase as in Facebook's thing, and of course you've got plenty more choices in Sciencebase. You can even build your own office if you're not happy with one of the six on offer, you know. Anyway, working whiteboards and all that stuff. I mean, the whole thing is Facebook here would have us believe that uh, it's all super new, when in fact it's very much old for those of us in the know, so to speak. Um, right. Um, okay, remove that one. Moving on. Back to Forbes again. This again is something different. It's a tech startup called Trip, TRIPP, who intend to use virtual reality to improve psychedelic therapy. This sounds like fun. Who needs a metaverse when you got acid or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
When she founded Trip 4 years ago, she didn't know clinicians would take her up her psychedelics inspired virtual reality platform as part of their practice. But now, with the acquisition of Sciences, the company is launching a new product offering that aiming researchers and clinicians with protocols that can inform the best use of virtual reality in psychedelics treatment. And well, they've gone about it. Yeah. I mean, this is clearly a wellness sort of thing where the idea is, you know, psychedelics, the way they are used these days, can be clinically beneficial, and match that with VR too. But VR is being leveraged to improve and enhance psychedelics assisted psychotherapy, basically. So it's not saying we use VR to stop you dropping acid. It's more a case of the two together in a clinical sense. I hasten to add. So go to Forbes.com again for this one. I think this was midweek. Natan Ponyman. I'm sure you'll find it on the sort of general stuff they got there. It is a very big site, Forbes, actually. So, but never fear, never fear. Go to twitter.com/malzones, and there's a link there that will take you exactly to the right page at Forbes.com. So moving on. Right, this is a site called Futurism.com, and once again, the reception is, well, highly suspect, to say the least. Futurism.com. Even more work meetings, but this time with giant goggles strapped to your face. Literally, nobody asked for Facebook's dumb VR meeting feature. Facebook has hit the nail on the head on the exact thing that absolutely nobody ever asked for. Instead of meaningfully tackling the rampant, dangerous misinformation being spread on its platform and revolutionized the way its data is shared, the company released a brand new virtual reality feature called Horizon Workrooms. The software suite, designed to hide all the no, sorry, is designed to work with the company's Oculus Quest 2 headset, and that is the emphasis. Even though they in the small print does say something about being available on the screen too, but yeah, as long as it's going to only be in their headset, I think that they're into the thing. Inside a VR playground that looks like it was yanked straight out of a Saturday morning children's cartoon, an eyebrowless Zuckerberg was waving his arms around like a demented marionette. I love this. You can see why I've been laughing myself into the ground all week, because day after day there are more actual reviews as opposed to repeats of press releases. Virtually, not all, but most of the reviews that have got any sense are, you know, they're not bitching because it's Facebook necessarily. They're saying, this is not going to take off, whatever the Zuckerberg thinks. So, it's unclear whether it's directly referring to Facebook. He uploaded a video of himself customizing his own adorable Quest avatar the next day, blah, blah. We're going to come to the videos in a minute. You may wonder why I'm zooming down here rather quickly. Anyway, as I say, Futurism.com. Literally nobody asked for it. And it's dumb. Right, that's her opinion. Okay. Um, imore.com. IMORE. Right, this is just reporting on yet another Apple patent. If you ever had any doubts about Apple being serious about VR, you've only got to look at the number of patents they're getting. Many patents will never get used, but the fact that they are heavily investing in these patents would suggest that some some set of them are going to be used in the not too distant future. Basically, this system they patented here is something that will stop people scaring you when you're in VR. And I think the idea is that the headset, or rather the visor, as it looks more like there, will have an alert system in it. So if somebody's trying to get your attention, when you're in VR, but you can't see or hear them. They have a built-in alert system so that people in your real-world environment can gently get your attention whilst you're otherwise immersed in your own little world, so to speak. Anyway, they described the patent here and everything else. Remember, it is a patent rather than a product, but you can we can know that Apple is moving in that direction. So imore.com, imore.com for that one. Right, no, right. Let's return to Zuckerberg World. Oh, that didn't go away, did it? No, no, no. Cutting edge Facebook app lets you attend VR meetings that should have been emails. Right, what's the point in this meeting when you could have done a lot more with an email? Well, can you imagine you probably do a lot more with instant messaging or in Slack or anywhere else by the time you got this up and running. Um, uh, Horizon Workrooms is apparently an ultra high tech solution to an age old problem of your boss needing to find new and expensive ways to pull you away from your work to have an unrequired meeting. More of the workforce working from home than ever, the primary challenge of the next decade will be finding innovative ways for the managerial class to interrupt that work in order to cling to the pretense that they're still necessary. And that is a quote from Zuckerberg himself at the press meeting. I quite like that actually for him. It's a slightly perceptive remark. Cling to the pretense they're still necessary. Yeah, bye bye, managers. I'm here. I'm the God Emperor. I'm taking over. Um, I just hope the new VR meetings, my avatar can hover behind their avatar while they're speaking, just like I used to do in the old days of in-person meetings. Ooh, maybe my avatar can give their avatars a surprise back rub. Well, so now in Facebook news, the US government has refiled a lawsuit alleging that Facebook is violating antitrust laws in their heavily handed attempt to be the only website radicalizing your aunt against vaccines. Yeah, all praise for the God Emperor there. That site is called the Beaverton.com. THEBA. No, sorry. THEBEAVERTON.com. Where do I dig up this site from, you may ask? Well, they come into the feeds. There's everything with Metaverse in it arrives in my inbox, unfortunately. Okay, this was anecdotal. This is RotoVR again with Ben Lang reporting. ROADTOVR.com. A lot of these virtual world environments, be they in headsets or whatever, unless they're big companies that have their own particular engine, they're built in the Unreal Engine or in Unity's engine. The Unreal one has now got OpenXR, which is the open source extended reality improvements, just in time for Oculus's development shift. Um, so Unreal Engine brings production ready support for OpenXR. Change comes just in time for Oculus developers as the company recently announced it's moving open to the OpenXR standard for VR development going forward. Obviously, in the case of Oculus, that is touching on the Fastbook Empire, but otherwise, more or less a separate item there. Maybe should change that to a separate item this week that is not about Horizon working thingies. Right, moving on, as I said, yeah, rotovr.com, moving on. Right. This is a post dedicated to that other news, which the Federal Trade Commission, this is in America, of course, in Britain it's the Monopolies Commission, they're suing Facebook, actually suing them over alleged monopolisation. And this actually is Ben Lang at Road to VR yet again. He's looking at what it could actually mean for Oculus, because obviously if the kind of things that Facebook's allowed to engage in get severely restricted, then well, what you've got to think about what the future for Oculus is. Obviously, Instagram and WhatsApp are known commodities, but if Facebook has to give them up, um, it'd be interesting. Basically, it says Oculus, the company's XR organization, is not directly mentioned in the suit, but the amended complaint brings the inverted commas metaverse into the picture for the first time. Um, so, if you'd taken the metaverse to mean sort of everything, the be all and everything of everything attached together or whatever, then that's big. That's big problems for Facebook because they're clearly, at least legally, not going to be allowed to do that anymore. So, what is nice actually is that the new complaint, which is nearly twice as long as the original, is available in full here. So you can actually click on this button and read the whole details. Yep. See, all very official looking. The Federal Trade Commission is the plaintiff, and Facebook Incorporated is the defendant. And public redacted version of document filed under seal. I don't know what. Oh, I see. It's got. Okay, it's got some stuff redacted, like how many users they've actually got, how many people they've stolen products from, how many people they've bought out at a cheap price. Well, whoever, I don't know. That's at ftc.gov, but again, to actually find that link, you really need to go to the. Where were we? I've lost the. I've lost the bloody page. Here we go. But you really want to go to rotovr.com here, and if you want to actually read that, and then click on the link that would take you directly there. Okay. Is not Zuckerberg's week, is it? Right, Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg's Horizon. This is from Esquire magazine, esquire.com. Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg's Horizon workrooms is straight up terrifying. Zuckerberg debuted a VR app called Horizon Workrooms on CBS this morning, and now I'm ready to go back to work. Companies across the country are trying to figure out how to conduct business as COVID pushes back the return to office plans, etc., etc. Horizon Workrooms is a VR, technically mixed reality app that works through Oculus, also owned by Facebook, by the way. Of course, we knew that, and it allows you to interact with co-workers and as an avatar of yourself. Gail King conducted an interview with Zuckerberg through the system, blah, 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 blah. Clearly not one with much practice in the area of small talk. Zuckerberg plainly states, I have freckles in real life too. Good sentence. Anyway, definitely straight up terrifying, according to this one. And, oh no, that wasn't actually the clip. I'm coming to the clips for this at the moment. Now, all my video clips that go to the Mastodon tweet for this week and probably every week from now. And instead of intermittently loading them, I'm loading the actual page with all of them on so that I can scroll down and get through them quicker. This would have been one of them, I guess. Right. I love my Esquire colleagues, says the author, but I don't particularly want to share my thoughts, reactions, and feelings in every meeting I go to as it is. I certainly don't want to invite this third-party app into my business. And we haven't even factored in what it's like to wear this thing on your head for an hour while Kevin over here unpacks the sales report from Q2. Hard pass, Facebook, hard pass, Oculus. Yeah. Anyway, so that's it at esquire.com, ESQ UIRE. As with all of these, follow my Twitter feed at twitter.com/malbones to get direct links to the pages that these items are actually on. Okay, still in the area of would-be monopolies, I think. Jensen Huang, I guess is how you pronounce it. He's the CEO of NVIDIA. And this is an interview talking with him about the physical world and the inverted commas metaverse can be connected. Very much a different take on things at Nvidia because they've moved from the graphics technology and what is possible now basically, and they've raised an awful lot of money. Um, like the chap at Epic Games, he does seem to have a kind of vision of the metaverse, which is a bit more broad and inclusive than, say, Zuckerberg's, for example. But that isn't to say that when you hear them talking, it's clearly they're kind of centering it around their own product. In the case of Nvidia, they actually call it the Omniverse, which is fairly good of them, really. At least they haven't contributed to the mess of metaverse definitions. uh, but let me see. There was a quote here. The truth is quite mundane. It's graphics and AI chips that produce the sales, but the inspiration is important. And Huang's views on the future are just as interesting, probably more so than talking about the latest quarterly news, etc. So yeah, um, and then you scroll down the page. There's something missing there that's on the website, obviously, and yeah, it moves into quite short interview actually. Okay, so you find that one at venturebeat.com, venturebeat.com. Where else? Right, moving on. Right, this is probably the best piece of the lot. This is published on the 18th, which I think was Thursday or whatever. Um, okay, this is not going to do its reader mode, but never mind. This is a computer society. IEEE Spectrum is the site. Spectrum, spelled as you see it there, SPECTRUM, .IEEE.org. And yeah, basically looking at why the metaverse needs to be open, making virtual worlds as interconnected as the internet will be tough. Um, yeah, because the groundwork is still everybody's having dreams and nobody's done the groundwork yet. Um, yeah, they actually they this must have been it was published at the end of the week, but I think from reading this, I think this is a follow up to the SIGGRAPH 2021 graphics conference. Um, so it's all fairly up to date, except I don't think that Zuckerberg's latest news had actually come on their radar at the time they actually wrote this blog. But anyway, it's basically the why the metaverse needs to be open, and it indeed does. Spectrum.IEEE.org for that one. Right, moving on. Ready Player One. How VR will reinvent aging. Oh, this is quite popular in terms of retweets and people actually direct messaging me, sort of witty remarks basically about their age. Yeah, basically, we've read this before, but it's always good to see. I mean, basically, Next Avenue. I don't know what this site is, but I guess it's the Next Avenue is like kind of a site for people getting on a bit and the next avenue of life or whatever. NEXTAVENUE.org. And basically look at the way VR can help people aging. I mean, uh, traveling virtually to places they can no longer get to, looking at things virtually of their past. I mean, you look at the photograph in VR, and you don't know whether you've seen these new things that they're fake, but they're not fake. They'll take a photograph that is maybe 100 years old, and they'll tart it up, They can even colorize it, but then they can do a sort of artificial thing of viewing it at different angles to actually create a sort of tiny video from a still photograph, and they're really fascinating. They're quite great fun. There's one of what's his name? E equal MC squared. Einstein, yeah. That has been both coloured up and animated. So it's only a bit, but instead it looks like it's on a webcam instead of a still photograph. So it only moves a bit and it loops, but it's enough to give you a feeling of the what he would really have been like in colour on a webcam. Well, he's still around to do so. Right. Anyway, yeah, a whole load of things. Unlocking memories, for example, and creating shared memories. Um, uh, yeah. VR session can take you back to the street you grew up on, or the arena where you saw the Stones playing in '78. There's a video of that. But no, not to be facetious, but no, there is a. As somebody who's not young myself, I mean, there are some things that I can do in VR now that even if I wanted to, I would not be able to do in real life. So there are benefits there. Matter of working out what they are really. Okay, so Next Avenue, all one word, nextavenue.org for that one. Moving on, as we want to do. Can virtual reality save the planet? Oh, we had another post this week, which is on a similar theme, of course. This one is at phys.org. And again, I mean, it's pretty much a rehash. I've put it away now, but earlier in the show, I had a tweet for an article that was almost the same thing. In fact, the person being interviewed, I believe, is the same lady, Kirsten. Yeah, Kristen French. Vanessa. Well, actually, it's probably almost the same as the previous theme because the interview is unlikely to be different. That's the interviewer and that's the interviewee. So probably just republished under a different site. Right. So for that reason, we'll remove that. Okay. They needed a virtual world. So they built one. Go deep on the design process behind this public hub, makerspace and presentation hall. New Public. New Public is a kind of newsletter, and they've given over the entire edition to a group of artists and researchers from New York University, and they're all artists, and they've recreated their university facility as a live 3D virtual space when the pandemic forced them into physical isolation. So this is really just an example of great stuff being done. The focus really is on the artists, but basically because they can go to their NYU establishment, they created their own online. They took inspiration from one of the strangest public access call-in shows ever. Although I'm not sure what that is. We created a virtual place we call Yorb. The Yorb and its visual aesthetic come from live interactive public access television show run out of ITP in the mid-90s called Your Orb. And yeah, quite interesting. Got an embedded video there. So, this is 1993, remember?
So we're going around the new city space. This is where a bunch of the new spaces that our students from ITP have put in the world. That's the Your Bar.
Yeah, the Your Bar.
Woo! Oh, hey. Call us back.
Okay, well, you get the idea. Yeah, well, amazing. But what was it, 1993? I mean, that's not bad. That's almost 30 years ago, isn't it? So we were young whippersnappers in those days. Not that I ever engaged in something that awful looking. It's a bit like Lucas World or whatever the Lucasfilm one was, I forget. Anyway, but they're now doing stuff that's a bit more up to date, as you can see from the laptops and all the kit they got around there. And yeah, well, basically it's all behind the scenes of what they got doing. during the pandemic to replace the fact they couldn't actually be at the university, whatever. So this is New Public, NEWPUBLIC dot Substack. That's SUBSTACK.com. That's the second of posts that are at Substack this week. Actually, they're becoming quite a good hub for interesting stuff as opposed to rather mill press releases. Right, newpublic.substack.com. And the final news item, so to speak, is another edition of the Immersive Wire. Oh, jobs board again. Okay, well, this is the set. They do two a week. I don't know what. I think I've got this here by mistake. Uh, um, that's where you can go and find jobs. There is another newsletter that I don't think I've put up here, which is actually links to news items. So that is the last of those. But I have one final thing to put up on screen for you today, and this is actually lots more in one, so to speak. And that is the Mastodon site where I keep all my videos. Now these you will find these linked to on Twitter because they get posted here first, and then it gets the link to them gets relayed on Twitter. But I think it this way, I can simply scroll down and give you an impression here. This one actually is a site called PSCP, which I think is sort of a Twitter video or something. And then /W, then we'll look at it there. I don't know whether it's, let's see if I can. Sebastian and Next Dimension Podcast. What the heck? Oh God, look at the size of this thing. Right, I think there's something a bit wrong with. Right, I think there's something a bit wrong with Safari there. Okay, so I can play it from here anyway, and you can click through to these sites from here. Oh, God. Oh, we're not going very, very far here, are we? Right, let's move on to an earlier one. Right, how to use Horizon Workrooms from Oculus Quest. And let's see, this is 4 minutes or so.
Cells based on the number of people in the room. According to Facebook, Horizon Workrooms features support for up to 16 people in VR. Those without a headset can also join via a standard video call using the Horizon Workrooms web app. All in all,
no, that was not what I wanted.
Join a single room at one time. Regardless of which layout you choose, you'll have access to your own personal workspace. You can access your desktop remotely and share your screen with other.
Shoot. Sorry. Don't get me cursing away here. I was trying to find a way of actually making that bigger without actually exploding it out of the entire page. YouTube normally give you a...
Introducing speech alone.
Oh, of course you have to have the ads if you go to YouTube as well, which is not very helpful. Okay, well, this one is just talking about how to use the Horizon Workrooms. It's not particular. Well, it is interesting if you want to know. And it's for people using Oculus Quest 2. Yeah, if you're not interested in Workrooms, it's not particularly interesting, of course. Right, that's this weekend. This was a bit early too. This is the Week in XR with Charlie Fink. Now, we saw a couple of posts earlier on from Road to VR, which are mostly written by Ben Lang. And Bet Lang, indeed, is the person who is the... God, there should be a cinema mode on this. Anyway, Road to VR, so he's the guest on this program, so just quickly... Da-de-da.
Twin of the real world, physical world, to possible to figure it out, but it's a little sensitive.
VR collaboration tools out there. Some to do things.
Oh, yeah. I thought he was in it, but no, I think maybe...
Workrooms is clearly just trying to hit that general, let's get people...
Right, they're basically talking about workrooms, as you might expect, Ben Long particularly. It looks like he's not on video. I thought he was, unless maybe he's on video on one part and then dropped out or something. But you can certainly hear him anyway, so no problem there. Um, again, you can this week in XR is at you can find it at YouTube too. But if you go to my feeds and get to this page, you can literally click through to YouTube, and it will show up as YouTube normally does in your particular browser. Right. Then always our major one of the week, really, I think, between James and me. This is the our
The VR download.
well, yes,
Okay.
except it hasn't been.
Hello and welcome to another episode of VR Download.
Except it's this one happens to be it doesn't get called VR download. They've called it Quest 2's Arena Mode, so they've actually named it by the topic, which isn't very helpful really. But you can still get through to the right account there.
Weekly show where we discuss industry news and fun things that are happening in the VR space. Hi, I'm your host Kyle, and with me today is...
Hello everyone, Ian Hamilton here. I'm running the show from my PC. If my audio is low, I'm sorry.
Yeah, same problem we all have, mate.
Mm-hmm.
Right, there's an hour and 15 minutes of that, so I'm obviously not going to play it all for you, but interesting show there. It was, of course, recorded early in the week, which means that it was filmed before the Facebook announcement about Horizon workrooms and whatever.
Introducing speech
Anyway,
line.
a bit later in the week, of course, this is a YouTube clip taken from is it Squawk on the Street, which is something to do with CNBC, I think. Where are we? Here we are.
And you can follow, the teenagers around and look at them in the map and their ability to interact with their avatars, understand, what shop is showing what what type of bargain that they could walk in. So we think this is exciting. It's a long. These are probably going to choose that.
Oh, there's something like their graphs on this show.
What is this?
It's the next world that they're building beyond the social side. Mark spent a lot of time in the last earnings call explaining it, and many investors are concerned there's going to be a mega investment wave that's going to have to come to power this.
All right, this is boring. But you might want it, right? So it's on the list there. It's at YouTube too, but it's from CNBC as far as I can tell there. Jeffrey's Brent Thill is his name, and I think the program is called Squawk on the Street. That's quite a nice name if it is. Right. Okay, trying out Oculus Horizons, blah blah blah. This is the video. Well, actually, this was one that was embedded in one of the main things we saw earlier. Forgot who did this one.
That is, depending on how you define it and how Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook defines it, his comments in the past, in recent history anyways, saying that Facebook would become a metaverse company in the future. Whatever the heck the metaverse is, it's hard to not see this latest development as at least a piece of that pie, or a piece of that puzzle. It's called Horizon Workrooms, and it was shown off to journalists this week. Just today, the kind of news, everybody released their news stories about the experience.
Right. I think he does do a bit of review later on, but there we go. Yeah, this one I think was released by Facebook. It's remote collaboration reimagined. It's all the hype, basically, isn't it? And okay, now Charlie Finks again. Earlier in the week, what was it? 13. This one. Hang on, August 14th. What are we? Oh, hang on, maybe. Oh, okay. I think, that one I had Matthew Ball. That one we did include last week, actually. August the 14th would have been 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th. Yeah, okay. We've gone back far enough there. So, not a great deal of excitement on the video front here, especially if Zuckerberg's enterprises have no interest for you whatsoever. Anyway, you'll find this list directly if you want it at Mastodon Social. That's Mastodon.social, and then slash Metaworld. I think. I'm not
Slash
sure.
at Metaworld. I've got
Oh
it on the
yes,
lower
slash.
third. Yep.
Yeah, it's slash and the at Metaworld symbol. Ah, okay, right. That is still catching up with me on the monitor, so great. It will be there. Right. So that's it, James, believe it or not, an hour and a quarter, even with
Oh,
all that. Well, it's sort of a lot of links, but not actual news, if you see what I mean.
yeah.
And believe me, if you actually go to my Twitter feed, you'll find some absolutely even more hysterical receptions for Facebook's thingy. It took me by surprise. Not only that it was released rather quickly, but there didn't seem to be any warning. But also when I looked at it a bit more, it's actually quite simple. It's not the big magnificent horizons thing that will be some kind of open world or metaverse. It's
Yeah.
just a meet place.
Yeah, I didn't
But
think it was that big of a story. I thought it was pretty boring myself.
I, I guess it's well, same with me. But I can't avoid big stories because of
Mm.
my feeds, and I mean, I knew it was big within hours when I saw how many people were actually not so much posting more links, but actually commenting on it. And within a day or two, these reviews were coming out, and I said, "This is not going down well." you know, I think they made the simple mistake. I think they made is that it's people like launching virtual worlds and everything to do with VR and the Oculus. I mean, this stuff is not mass market yet. And although lots of people have been doing very similar things for meetings, when Zuckerberg comes along and announces it, everybody wakes up thinking, this is going to be something magnificent. And quite frankly, it's not. It's, it's.
Well, I
Uh,
don't know that everybody thinks that either. I mean, you know, he might be best left alone rather than talking about him.
well, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I think they're probably, I mean, probably not happy about these reviews, but on the other hand, at least it's taking the onus away from the FTC and the British
Yeah.
government's legal actions against him. Because if the existing social networks empire is going to crumble or be taken away from it, he needs something to replace it. But I don't think he has any inspiration. This guy, he doesn't have the vision thing. It's like simply, oh, I'm big. I've got the money. I can be the leader in this thing.
Yeah. And
And
his staff do. I mean, I no fan of Zuckerberg, but the VR download was really quite interesting because I thought the big news of the week was the pass through development kit on the Quest, and
yeah,
the Quest is going to be an augmented reality device in short order and very exciting. And I still get excited about VR. So
yeah,
the news about Mark Zuckerberg is I mean, he's going to fall the same way Microsoft has fallen and everybody else. And so he's making lots of noise. I really don't care
yeah,
about his noise, but the technology is doing some pretty amazing things, and I still
yeah,
enjoy VR. I like VR. So,
yeah. Well, so do I. I mean, though not too much on the headset thing, except in small
well,
doses. I might get the Quest one, but
yeah.
amongst the people that are, complaining about that, it seems to be they don't like the idea, like anyone I do, of putting that helmet on your head. If we get
Well,
to
how about the
something,
idea of putting a phone up to your ear? I mean,
well,
what a
yeah,
waste. Let's
yeah,
let's
but
let's get the let's
I
get the
don't do.
phone off of our ear.
Yeah, well, I don't put the phone on my ear. I put it on loudspeaker and mic.
Ah, okay, right, all right.
There's no way I'm going to hold a bloody phone, especially the size of them these days. I can't even get my thumb on the bloody dial pad.
Yeah.
I'm,
Well,
I'm,
I'm just grouchy today
old.
too, Mal. I'm grouchy. The failure of our screen sharing tool was not a great start to the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. It's given me at home, from what I can see, reasonably
Yeah.
Good. It's not quite the same thing. And I did actually have various photos and things that I was going to put on an overlay above the website pages,
Right,
but
right.
the way Discord is sharing that is not doable, I'm afraid. But
Yeah.
never mind.
Yeah, and anyone who wants to know, it's we've been using ScreenLeap, and ScreenLeap just not being real nice today. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's we've had especially as it's the pro version you've got.
Yeah, yeah.
Not cheap. There's a free version, but it only runs for 15 minutes or something.
Right, right.
And actually, no,
Get the show down to 15 minutes, Mal.
Yeah. Well, actually, the problem is we probably spent 14 minutes setting it up.
Right.
And then go live for 1 minute. But we did for a while do it that way. But yeah, but it's happened before, and but not very often. Hopefully, it'll be a long time before this happens again. But there's probably alternatives out there. But the main thing is it broadcasts to a web page, and we're able to then mix the web page into the broadcast
and show it in our lovely studio.
Yes, yeah, yes. Yeah, and of course, yeah.
Now we've got blank screens in the studio. Whee!
Yeah, I know. Well, look at all those people who were clapping when I arrived, and they all vanished.
Right.
I'm not even going to be able to go out with an applause today.
No.
It's not going to happen. But I do think there's a couple of cats in the front seat there. So when I go out, I'll... Yes, hello there. Right, but I'll so long as you can all... Can't see them, can we?
No.
Oh, dear. But anyway, so long as they meow, I don't mind. Right. Any other thoughts before I do the obligatory roundup?
Nope. No, I'm good. Thanks.
Let's see if I can find another rabbit hole to jump down, but I don't think there's one available at the moment. Right. Okay. Well, that's it for This Was the Week That Was, to paraphrase the name of a TV show that was, actually. Right. It's goodbye from this chap here.
Oh, and it's goodbye from this chap here.
The two of us. James Out Loud is him, and Mal Bones is me. And from both of us, it's farewell for yet another week. We will return same time, same place next week. And if you can't make it, you can always watch us in replay. And you can just watch us on YouTube too, like the audience did today, because we didn't have a screen working in world for them. Oh, what a shame. Yeah. But in the meantime, everybody, stay safe, stay happy, avoid the plague, work from home, wear a mask, do all the things you need to do. And even more seriously, remember, in the UK here, to do it. I think in the States and a few other places, it's all still part of the course. But here, unfortunately, everybody seems to think life is back to normal. And our cases and deaths and everything else are rising by the day, phenomenally. But I don't know. I'm not going to talk about that. Stay safe, stay well, keep healthy, stay indoors, and stay online. What the hell? If you're watching this show, you're online, so stay online. There's millions of things you can do online. Who needs that bloody real world? Anyway, summer didn't come, did it? Well, except the places that are a bonfire. It's either a flood or a bonfire, isn't it? Huh? I don't know. Sorry, I must behave myself. Okay, so until next week, we'll see you then. Bye for now. We're back.